Alright, and now we're going to talk about roots and finding those. But first I want to list out the perfect squares and the cubes. So here we go. The perfect squares are just a product of a whole number in itself. It gives you the edge or the side length of a square. So 2 times 2, perfect square is 4. 3 times 3, the perfect square is 9. 4 times 4, the perfect square is 16. 5 times 5, the perfect square is 25. 6 times 6, the perfect square is 36. 7 times 7, the perfect square is 49. 8 times 8, the perfect square is 64. 9 times 9, the perfect square is 81. 10 times 10, the perfect square is 100. 11 times 11, the perfect square is 121. 12 times 12, the perfect square is 144. 13 times 13, the perfect square is 169. 14 times 14, the perfect square is 196. 15 times 15, the perfect square is 225. And I think we'll stop there for this. Yeah, we'll keep going. 16 times 16 is 289, or sorry, 256. 17 times 17 is 289. I'm going to add over here 18 times 18 is 324. 19 times 19 is 361, and 20 times 20 is 400. And then we're going to do the cubes as well, same way. So for the cubes, it's a product of a number times itself times itself. So the factor that makes up the edge length of a cube. Okay, so here we go. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. 6 times 6 times 6 is 216. 7 times 7 times 7 is 343. 8 times 8 times 8 is 512. 9 times 9 times 9 is 729. 10 times 10 times 10 is 1000. And the answers are all of the cubes. Okay, so in class we were supposed to memorize them because it helps us answer these questions or do these things down here. The square root, so we're going to find the root of these things. So the square root of 324 is just asking what number times itself is 324. So the number times itself that is 324 is 18. And you can do that as a positive 18. So 18 times 18 is 324. And negative 18 times negative 18 is 324. Over here for the 729, it's asking what number times itself is 729. And that answer is 9. Positive 9 only. For simplifying the square root, okay, all you're going to do is look and see what perfect square goes into 12 evenly. The largest perfect square that goes into 12 evenly is 4. So we have the square root of 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is 12. We're going to take the square root of that 4. So the square root of 4 is 2. 2 times 2 gives us 4. There is not a whole number times itself that gives us 3. So this becomes a square root of 3. So the square root of the square root of 12 simplifies to 2 square roots of 3. Do the same thing over here on 27. The largest perfect square that will go into 27 is 9. So the square root of 9 times 3, 9 times 3 is 27. So the square root of 9 is 3. There is no square root of 3, or a square root of 3 doesn't give you a whole number. So you bring down the square root symbol and the 3. And then we're going to estimate the square root and the cube root. Now, we have done this, and this is a little bit more difficult, but I know you guys can do this, okay? So the square root of 5 is between, I'm going to do it over here, 4 and 9. 5 is between the perfect squares of 4 and 9. We square root both of them. So the square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of 9 is 3. So the square root of 5 is between 2 and 3. Then we're going to list out all the numbers. 5, 6, 7, 8. Between 2 and 3, that's one whole number. So we're going to take one whole number and divide it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. So we get equal pieces. So 5 doesn't go into 1, so we get 0 decimal 0. 5 goes into 10 twice. 2 times 5 is 10. We get 0. So each one of these is worth 2/10. So this would be 0.2, 0.4 every time we're adding 2/10. 0.6, 0.8, and then another 2/10 would make it 3. So the square root of 5 is 2.2, or is approximately 2.2. Okay? Then we're going to do the same thing for the cube root. Okay, the cube root of 5 is between the cube of 1 and the cube of 8. So the cube root of 1 is 1. The cube root of 8 is 2. So the cube root of 5 is between 1 and 2. Then we're going to list out all the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 to 2 is one whole number, and we're going to divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And when we do this, we want to go out to the hundredths. So 7 goes into 10 once. We subtract 7, we get 3. 7 goes into 30 4 times, minus 28, 2. So each one of these is worth 14 hundredths. So 0.14, 0.28, 0.42, 0.56. So the cube root of 5 is 1.56, or approximately, the cube root of 5 is approximately 1.56.